of us to do the forgiveness meditation. Without forgiveness, we will continue suffering because we hold a lot of hatred, anger, and regret with us for many years. Isn't it right? In this life, we have encountered a lot of problems with many people. People are not nice to us, and we also not nice to the many people as well. And so, by verbal, mental, or physical, we have hurt or injured the other human beings and all beings in many past years. Now that we are here asking for forgiveness, there's a quote my teachers always told me: if you don't have anybody to play with, then live alone. Rather you stay alone, but do not have an enemy. Right, earlier, Jan Dominic mentioned that when you are free, if you stay alone, then you will feel bored. And in our mind, of course, when our mind is free, nothing to do, it will pick up all the trash to chew it over and over. What are the trashes? Trash means all that delusion, all that greedy, all that hatred, anger, all those regretful things, and everything in our life that we call defilements, right? So when every day when we talk, when we associate with the others, when we do things, all those recorded in our head, in our mind, is recorded. So it always stay there, waiting for the right condition to rise. And so when our mind is free, is like nothing to do, it will automatically pick up all those bad things to think over and over. This is the nature of the mind. Rarely think about the good things, but always think about the bad things, all those suffering things in our life. And so, for forgiveness, we let go, we forgive the others, we ask the others to forgive us, and then we also forgive ourselves. Without forgiving ourselves, it's very difficult to move on, to move forward. We can be easily forgiving the others, but very difficult to forgive ourselves, because we have done a lot of things that is unwisdom, unwholesome. So when we have done it, and then we feel regret, we hold that regret years after years. And then whenever chance, whenever the right conditions arise, all those thoughts, all those regretful things will pop up in our head. And that is when we suffer. Right? And in this life, of course, every little thing, everything's in our life. As we can see, our daily life, we barely have a peaceful day. Is that right? We have to go work, and then we go home, take care of our family. When we go work, we have to face with all challenges at the workplace, co-workers, boss. And then when we come home, we face with our kids, our children, our husband and wife, our parents, brothers, sisters, all those. And then we have to go cook and clean the house and clean dishes, all those things. That's it. And then we go to bed. After we wake up, we rush out that door and begin a new day with the same thing over and over. What's the difference? That's what our life is. And we've been going through that years after years. And we don't know how to stop, how to slow down. We keep on chasing after it because this world is moving quickly, way too fast. And when it's way too fast, we're afraid that we're going to be left behind. That's why we always chase after it, trying to keep up with it, up to date. We don't want to be left behind. And that is when we feel overwhelmed with thoughts, with everything. And then we suffer. For that reason, I have encountered a lot of things like this in my life. And many people come to me at the temple, and wherever I travel to do disaster relief and to teach, And so many of these problems surround me. That is the reason why I choose to walk, to raise the awareness of peace. That has been with us for so long, with every single one of us. Everybody has this. It's just that we forgot it. Why we forgotten it? Because we were too busy, way too busy with our life, with materialities, with all that things. It's not that we cannot keep up with material, because that is something to survive, right? But we don't need to chase one after another. Know when is enough is the key. Know when is enough for ourselves. Let's say one of the talk I already talked about. The lady, she's very poor. And when she saw me walking with my book on my hand, and she just followed me with tears. And then when I turned around and asked her what's going on, and she said, "Venerable, how much is that book? I want to buy it." And I said, "No, this book is not for sale. It's for gift. If you want to read, I will give it to you." And she said, "But this costly. You're a monk. You don't have money." I said, "Don't worry about it. As long as you want to read, I can give it to you." And then she started to cry a lot. And she said, "My life is so tough, very poor. I have a kid, I have grandkids, and we are suffering every day, every night. Even my sandal, I have to go borrow. Even my shirt that I'm wearing right now, that someone give it to me. Is this something that I have to live for the rest of my life? Is there any chance, any way to change my life?" I say, "No. This is not something that you have to live for the rest of your life. You can change it. Let me tell you one thing. When you have a little sticky rice within your hands, that's all you have. Nothing else. But if you're happy with it, you know that this much of sticky rice in your hand is enough for you to survive this today. If you accept that, you are the richest person in this world." The same way, if somebody gives you a whole bunch of gold, diamond, if you hold it and you feel this is not enough, I want more, then this is when you suffer. You are the poorest person in this world. So it all depends on how you see it, how you accept it. If you're willing to accept what you have right now, you'll be at peace. They will be happier. You don't have to suffer with fighting with your thoughts that I'm so poor, I don't have anything. No, it's because of all that thoughts, all that defilement thoughts is blocking all the good fortune that's supposed to come to you. When we have defilement minds, it automatically draw all the bad things in our past to come to us. It blocks all the good things. But when you clear your mind, you let your mind be free, pure, automatically it will attract all the good fortunes, all the good deeds that you have created in the past to come to you, because that is yours. So it all depends on you. There are so many rich people that they've gone broke within a second. And there are so many people, they have nothing, but within a second they became a millionaire or billionaire. So all depends on your thought, your mind, if you accept it or not. Right? So our life is going through all these things in life. So we barely have a time to slow down, to come back within, to see ourselves. That is the reason why we suffer and suffer and suffer. And when all those thoughts arise, we overwhelmed. That is when we suffer way much more, and we become stressed, anxiety, depressed. Right? So we need to let go of all that past. Let it go is the key. Without letting go, we can't move forward. Because all those things will pull us backward. We will not let it go forward. It keeps pulling us back and pulling us down. So our lives should be peaceful because as a human being, we deserve better. We should have peace. That does not come from outside, but come from inside. If we cannot have peace for our own, there will be no world peace in this world. Right? So forgiveness is something that to start with for us to move forward, to have peace.
In the quiet spaces between our heartbeats, there is a rhythm we often miss. We live in a world that celebrates speed, a culture that constantly demands we look forward, run faster, and accumulate more. We wake up to the shrill cry of an alarm, rush through our morning rituals, navigate traffic or crowded subways, and throw ourselves into the churning demands of the workplace, only to collapse at the end of the day, exhausted, knowing we must do it all again tomorrow. In this frenetic loop, we rarely ask ourselves where we are actually going. We are walking, certainly, sometimes running, but are we moving toward peace? Or are we simply running away from ourselves? It is into this landscape of modern exhaustion that the teachings of the Walk for Peace arrive. Not as a command to march, but as a gentle invitation to stop running, even while we are moving, to realize that peace is not a destination found on a map or at the end of a career ladder, but a quality of the heart that we must cultivate right here, amidst the noise. The spiritual leader of the Walk for Peace, Venerable Bhikkhu Panikkara, offers us a mirror to examine why this stillness feels so elusive. He suggests that we are carrying a heavy, invisible backpack, one that we have been filling for years, perhaps without even knowing it. When our schedule finally clears and we have a moment of silence, perhaps waiting in line, or sitting alone in a room, we often find that we are not truly at rest. Instead, the mind begins to churn. As the Venerable observes, when the mind is free and has nothing to do, it instinctively bends down to pick up trash. This trash is the accumulated debris of our past, the old grudges, the flashpoints of anger, the simmering regrets, and the delusions that have clouded our interactions. We chew on this mental refuse over and over again, reliving arguments with people who are no longer in the room, or perhaps no longer even in our lives. This tendency to ruminate is the root of a profound internal violence. We have all encountered people who were not nice to us, and if we are honest, we must admit that there have been times, through our words, our thoughts, or our actions, when we were not nice to others. The tragedy is not that conflict happens, but that we hold onto it. We refuse to put the backpack down. We cling to the identity of the victim or the righteous defender, unaware that this clinging is the very source of our suffering. The Venerable shares a simple, piercing piece of wisdom passed down from his teachers. If you don't have anybody to play with, then live alone. Do not have an enemy. It sounds simple, yet it cuts against the grain of our ego, which loves to have an enemy to define itself against. To live without enemies requires a radical act of forgiveness. It requires us to look at the trash we are chewing on, the bitterness toward a coworker, the resentment toward a family member, the harsh judgment of ourselves, and simply spit it out. Without forgiveness, we are chained to the past, dragging the heavy corpse of old memories into every new moment, ensuring that we can never truly be free. However, the burden isn't just what we carry from the past, it is also the frantic pace at which we engage with the present. We are terrified of being still because we have been conditioned to believe that if we slow down, we will be left behind. The world moves quickly, shifting beneath our feet with dizzying speed, and so we run to keep up. We chase the news, we chase trends, we chase the validation of others. We fill our days with a repetitive cycle that the Venerable describes with heartbreaking accuracy. We go to work to deal with the challenges of bosses and coworkers. We come home to manage the complexities of spouses and children. We cook, we clean, we sleep, and then we rush out the door to do it all over again. What is the difference? He asks. It is the same day, repeated years after years. We suffer because we do not know how to stop. We are like hamsters on a wheel, convinced that if we just run a little faster, we will finally arrive at happiness. But this acceleration only breeds anxiety, stress, and depression. The mind becomes overwhelmed, cluttered with the debris of too much information, too much desire, too much fear. We are so busy chasing the future that we completely miss the life that is happening to us right now. We forget that we are human beings, not human doings. We forget that we deserve peace, not as a reward for finishing our to-do list, but as a birthright. The fear of being left behind is a grand illusion, in truth. By rushing constantly, we are leaving ourselves behind. We are abandoning our own hearts in a desperate bid to keep pace with a machine that will never be satisfied. This frantic chasing is often fueled by a deep-seated feeling of scarcity, a belief that we do not yet have enough. We convince ourselves that peace is something we can buy, or a status we will achieve once we have acquired a certain amount of security. But true wealth, as the Venerable illustrates through the poignant story of a poor woman he encountered, has nothing to do with what is in our pockets. This woman, seeing the monk walking with a book, offered to buy it from him despite her poverty. When he offered it as a gift, she wept, lamenting her hard life, her poverty, her borrowed sandals, her utter lack of ownership. She felt trapped by her circumstances, believing she was destined to suffer until the end of her days. The Venerable's response to her rewrites the definition of abundance for all of us. He uses the analogy of sticky rice. If you have a small ball of sticky rice in your hand, and that is all you have, you stand at a crossroads of perception. If you look at that rice and say, "This is enough to keep me alive today," and you accept it with gratitude, in that moment, you are the richest person in the world. You are free from want. You are at peace. Conversely, someone could hand you a pile of gold and diamonds, but if your mind instantly thinks, "This is not enough, I want more," or, "What if I lose this?" then you are the poorest person in the world. You are trapped in the poverty of desire. The key to breaking the cycle of suffering is to know when is enough. It is a concept that feels almost rebellious in a consumerist society. To look at your life, your flawed, messy, incomplete life, and say, "This is enough," is an act of spiritual power. It does not mean we stop striving or working. It means we stop suffering over the gap between where we are and where we think we should be. It shifts the power from external circumstances to internal attitude. We can change our lives not by winning the lottery, but by changing how we view the sticky rice in our hands. There is a profound metaphysical mechanism at work here as well. The mind is not just a container, it is a filter and a magnet. When our minds are clogged with the trash of greed, hatred, and regret, we inadvertently block the sunlight of good fortune. We think we are unlucky, but in reality, we have boarded up the windows. The Venerable explains that a powerless mind, one drained by negativity and obsession, automatically draws the bad things from our past toward us. It resonates with suffering, and so it attracts more suffering. But the opposite is also true, and this is the source of great hope. When we clear the mind, when we practice forgiveness, let go of the frantic need to chase, and settle into contentment, we clear the channel. A pure, free mind naturally attracts the good seeds we have planted in the past. It allows the fruits of our good deeds to ripen and find us. We don't need to chase happiness, we need to stop blocking it. We see this in the sudden reversals of fortune around us. Rich men going broke in a second. Poor men finding abundance. It is not just chance, it is the unfolding of conditions. Our job is to create the right internal condition, a mind that is open, spacious, and unburdened, so that life can flow through us rather than crashing against us. By letting go of the heavy backpack, we don't just feel lighter, we actually become more magnetic to the good, the beautiful, and the true. Nowhere is this need for clearing and forgiveness more urgent and more tender than in our relationships with those closest to us, our parents and our families. In the rush of our busy lives, in the trash of our petty grievances. We often neglect the very people who gave us life. The venerable paints a picture that is hauntingly familiar to many of us. The parents waiting by the door. How many times have they prepared a meal, watching the steam rise and then fade, watching the fruit turn golden and overripe, waiting for a call that doesn't come, or a visit that is cut short because we are too busy. We offer them excuses. We say, "I'll call later," but later never arrives. We walk out the door, leaving them with tears we don't see, rushing back to our important lives, unaware that we are missing the sacred duty of gratitude. The metaphor the Venerable uses here is devastating in its beauty and truth. The love parents give to their children is like the water in the ocean, vast, encompassing, endless. The love children give back is often like a single drop of rain, which evaporates the moment the sun rises. We take so much, and we return so little. This imbalance is a source of deep, often buried, suffering, but it is not irredeemable. The path to peace demands that we stop waiting by the door of our own pride and walk through it to reconnect. We must visualize the faces of our parents, whether they are still with us or have passed on, and place them in our hearts. We must ask for forgiveness for the times we were absent, for the times we were sharp with our words, for the times we took their ocean of love for granted. And equally, we must forgive them. We must realize that they, too, were human, flawed, and struggling. To heal this relationship is to heal the foundation of our own lives. When we make peace with our origins, with the people who raised us, we stop fighting a war within ourselves. We can finally put down the heavy armor we have worn since childhood and just be. Ultimately, the walk for peace is not about steps taken on asphalt. It is about the movement of the soul back to its center. As human beings, we deserve better than a life of constant stress, anxiety, and breathless chasing. We deserve peace, but this peace will never come from the government, from the economy, or from a change in our external circumstances. If we cannot find peace within our own skin, there will be no peace in the world. The wars out there are merely reflections of the wars inside the human heart. So, how do we begin? We begin by stopping. We begin with the simplest, most intimate gesture of self-compassion. We can close our eyes, place our left hand over our heart, and cover it with our right hand. We can take a deep breath, not the shallow, panicked breath of the runner, but the deep, nourishing breath of the arrival. Underneath our hands, we will feel it, the beat. Thump, 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 thump. That heartbeat is the rhythm of life. It has been with us from the very beginning, faithful and steady, even when we ignored it, even when we abused it with stress and anger. To feel your own heartbeat is to return to the present moment. It is to say, I am here, I am alive, I am enough. From this place of connection, we can extend that warmth to our parents, our friends, our enemies, and the world. We can forgive, we can let go, we can walk forward, not in a rush to get somewhere else, but in a celebration of being exactly where we are. This is the true walk for peace, a journey that requires no luggage, only the courage to empty our hands and open our hearts.